Hi guys, welcome back to the Big Sew Along. I'm Ginny, and as always, I thank you very much for choosing to spend some time with me. Today I have a few things to cover with you. First of all, I am wearing my Sunkissed Kaftan from Pattern Emporium. I made this last year, and it's really perfect for going to the swimming pool, which is what I am just about to do, hence my very unmade up appearance. I am also wearing my, let's see, what's this called? My Zhara swimsuit from Sew Over It. I'll show you a couple pictures here. This is the first time I ever made a swimsuit, and I really like this one a lot. It went together really easily, and I had to do a few alterations for length because, as you guys know, I'm only 5'3". Aside from that, it was really pretty perfect. That, however, is not really what I want to talk about today. What I really want to talk about is Vogue 1731. This is a skirt pattern that many of you had recommended to me multiple times over the last few weeks, and I finally purchased this pattern. I got it on eBay, and I think I paid like $3 for it. I'm sure I paid more for shipping for it than I did for the actual pattern. So when I bought this, I'm pretty sure I wasn't really even paying attention to the size. And I got the size AA, which is size 6, 8, 10, and 12. When I got it, I really wasn't that concerned about it because usually if you look at the measurements on a Vogue pattern, the recommended size for me is always going to be a 16 based on a size 39, 40-inch hip. However, it's always too big. So I almost always cut a 14 in the big major pattern companies. So I thought a size 12 was really not going to be that big a deal, especially because, again, the Marcy and Catherine Tilton patterns to me tend to run a little on the large side. Wasn't worried about it at all, but I did make up a muslin just to be sure, and I'm glad I did because it was too small. The 12 actually fit, but this skirt has a zipper in the back and it also has elastic. In the size 12, I could get it on, no problem, but there was no need, zero need for elastic. Additionally, that meant that it actually fit like around the waist and the top of the hips, which is not really the look of this pattern. It doesn't need to be huge, but it just definitely has some ease in there. So I fixed this by laying the center front panel on the fold as usual, and I added 1 inch to that, so a total of 2 inches to the front center panel. The back panel, I split right down the middle, and I added 1 inch there. So I added a total of 4 inches to the circumference of this pattern. In addition to that, I shortened it. I think I also shortened it 4 inches. Okay, so once I did that, and I had my skirt made up, I realized that I didn't, like with 4 inches, and I could have done 2 inches and I would have been perfectly fine. I did 4 inches and I no longer needed a zipper, so I just didn't put one in. I just used straight elastic. The other thing is, I bought this fabric. I'll show you pictures of my skirt. I bought this fabric from Style Maker Fabrics. Faith sent me a link to this fabric a few weeks ago, and because she knows that I love a graffiti print, and she was totally right. I immediately purchased this. I didn't really know what I was going to do with this fabric. I believe it's an Alexander Henry fabric. It is 100% cotton, and it's like a quilting weight. I didn't really know what I was going to do with it, but given that it was a quilting weight, I kind of thought it would like make a shirt or something, so I just bought 2 yards. So I didn't really have enough, even though I shortened my pattern considerably, I didn't have enough to get the whole skirt and the pockets out of this, but I did have this leftover vintage sheet. I used this for a muslin a while back, and I had a bit left over, just enough to make my pockets, and I really like the contrast. I think it's pretty cool. I did not, however, have zippers for the pockets. The pockets are supposed to have zippers that go across the top. I didn't have any zippers in-house, and since there's no longer a Joann's or any place that sells like a selection of zippers, I just didn't put zippers on. I didn't want to wait to order them, so I just made it without zippers. And to be honest with you guys, I actually like it without the zippers. I like that the top of the pocket like drapes a little bit. I would like it equally well with the zippers, but I feel like without the zippers, it's so cool. As it turns out, this fabric was a good choice for this skirt because that quilting cotton has enough body that you can really sort of see the shape of the skirt, which I really, really quite like. I think that is really all I have to say about this skirt, other than to say thank you guys for recommending this skirt. I will definitely be making this again. I do have some silk taffeta left over from another project that I might have enough to make this again, and I would really, really love that, so I'm going to try. Okay, so the other thing is, in these pictures, I am wearing a t-shirt. This was originally a t-shirt. I'll show you the original t-shirt here. This was a t-shirt I bought last fall when I was in New York. I bought this at the Comme Des Garçons store. And I knew when I bought it that I was going to have to do some work to it, because they just have this like regular basic t-shirt shape. They don't have anything. I mean, they have other t-shirts, but they're more fashion t-shirts, so not just their label t-shirts. I should also say that I am really dislike logos. I feel like this t-shirt looks less like a logo and more like just like a goofy image, which I am all into. I love a graphic t-shirt of any sort. Anyways, I love this t-shirt. So I bought this knowing that I was going to have to do something to it. So I decided to do a little, I wouldn't say upcycle. I think upcycle is more like when you take like old stuff and remake it. I would call this more a refashion. And I have a quick video tutorial for you here on how I did it. It's not really about the sewing. It's really more just about how I cut the t-shirt. So here you go. Okay, here I have my t-shirt turned inside out and pressed flat. You can see hopefully that I've really pressed these seams, especially around the arms, as flat as I can get them. I have also put pins down what I'm hoping is the center front. For this, I am going to use my So Liberated Bedrock tee. And I'm going to take the front piece. This is view A. I'm going to take the front piece and I'm going to lay it. This has a 1/2 inch seam allowance in it. And that means it's right about here. So I'm going to lay that on the seam line of my shirt here. It's not going to match exactly, but right here at the neckline, I'm going to match it. And then I'm going to try to place this right on the center line there. And once I have that done, I am just going to trace my neckline. Put a little mark right at the center there. While I'm here, I'm also going to put a pin right here at the bottom of my t-shirt. This t-shirt curves at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that hem curves. And the one I have is just straight across. I'm going to make mine just straight across. So I'm just going to mark a pin there so I know what length it needs to be. Now I'm going to do the armhole. And I'm just going to start by tracing right here. And you can see that the armhole of my t-shirt comes way up here into my sleeve. So I'm just going to move this back like this. I'm going to use my curvy ruler. And I'm going to line this curve up with the underpit, like right at the armpit, right where that seam comes together there. And I'm going to move it around until it looks kind of straight and it matches up more or less. It really needs to match up right here at the shoulder, but everywhere, I mean, that's not too bad. That's not too far off. So I'm just going to use that. For my mark. And that looks pretty good. And now we're just going to flip this over and do the same thing on the other side. Okay, once I have that all traced out, I am going to put a pin right on the edge of my shoulders on both sides. So right here, right here, and then on this side. Now I'm going to flip it over, and we're going to do the back. Now the reason I put these pins in here at the shoulder is so that I can see that my shoulders match up. So this needs to come over a teeny bit like that, and maybe down a little bit so it hits there. Now that looks good. So now I'm just going to do the same thing, the exact same thing on the back. Okay, now that all of those are traced out, I am going to measure this pin at the bottom from my hem. And you can see I already took the hem out of this, which I didn't really need to do. So for me, I'm just going to measure from this pin to this crease here, and that is exactly 3 inches. So I'm just going to make a note of that, and I'm going to take 3 inches off all the way around. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. My shoulder seams should match up pretty perfectly. That looks good. I do want to check to make sure my underarm seams are going to match up too. They really should be right at that seam line, so you shouldn't have a problem with that, but just double check. Alright, so let's go ahead and cut this out. Okay, so I'm all cut out and ready to go. This t-shirt pattern has a piece for the neckband, and it also has a piece for the armbands. The neckband should be fine because our neckband matched the neckband of the t-shirt. Our armholes are a little bit different, however. So I measured my entire armhole around at the half-inch seam allowance, and my armhole measures 21¼ inches. Now I just measured this band here. And this band measures 21 inches. So assuming I have a ½ inch seam allowance on this, it will be 20 inches, which means it'll have to stretch a little bit to get about around the arm, and I think that that will be perfectly fine. However, if yours is way off, you could just take the measurement around your arm and multiply it by 0.9, usually is what I do, and then just add a seam allowance to that. That would be your band piece. So I'm going to try this and see how it works. I am using another t-shirt for this. I'm using this red t-shirt, and again, I have just pressed it really flat, and it's long enough for me to get 2 arm bands out of here, and then I need 1 neckband, which it won't be long enough for. So I think what I'll do is use this seam as my fold right here, and then I'll just have another seam over here, and it will be fine. I'll just make sure those go on the sides, and then we're just gonna sew those on. All right, you guys, I hope you guys found that helpful. This is the way I restyle a lot of t-shirts. Not so much thrift store t-shirts, which I will often cut apart and use in different ways, but if I have t-shirts that I buy someplace or that somebody gives me that I don't like a regular just like high neck short sleeve t-shirt that often. So I usually do something like this. At the end of the day, whenever I put like a neckband or an armband around a t-shirt like this, I usually baste it on first and then lay the t-shirt flat right side out and see whether or not that binding is going to buckle up, because if it buckles up while it's basted, it's going to buckle up once you sew it. That did happen in this case, so I removed both the armhole binding and the neck binding, and I shortened them both by about 1 inch or even 1.5 inches. The neck still feels like a little teeny bit loose, but I haven't yet washed this, and I think that that will sort of shrink that up a little bit. Aside from that, I'm pretty happy with it. You can see that the armhole in the tank top version is definitely a little low, but it doesn't really bother me. I mean, I never buy a t-shirt that's perfect, so I don't know why I would expect to make one that's perfect. But yeah, I love this, and I actually just got another thrift store t-shirt that I think I'm going to do the same thing to. That is all I have for you this week. However, Next week, I am super excited because Lizzie Everard, who was a contestant on the Great British Sewing Bee. Those of you in the UK will probably already be familiar with her. Her company is called Betty Silk, and I will leave links to her below. I have never seen the Great British Sewing Bee. For some reason, we are not allowed to get it here in the US. I'm curious though, if anybody in the US does get it, or also if you're in Canada and you get it, let me know, because I'm really curious to know how you get it or where you get it. I did hear a rumor that it was supposed to be playing, they were supposed to be playing the older seasons on Apple TV, but so far I haven't been able to find them. So anyways, let me know. Back to Lizzie. So Lizzie just came out with her first pattern. It's probably been out for a little while because it was originally out just in printed format, but the PDF version just came out last week. I think I was the first person to buy it. I was so excited. The pattern is called the Lala pants. I'll show you a picture here. And yeah, in the PDF version. So I have mine printed out and ready to go. This pattern looks so up my alley. These are exactly my kind of pants. So I'm super excited to make these. I am going to be working on those this week, and we'll be talking about them next week. Until then, I wish you all happy sewing.